Okay, folks, today we're going to be talking about mammals. This is the group that we belong to. So what are the characteristics of mammals? Well, mammals have mammary glands. And what are mammary glands? Mammary glands are glands that produce milk. Now, even males have mammary glands, but they're only functional in females. Other glands that mammals have that you may not have really thought about are sweat glands. So only mammals have sweat glands. Another gland that, again, you probably haven't given any thought to would be the sebaceous glands. And what are sebaceous glands? These are glands that are found in human skin, or I should say mammal skin, and they produce an oily substance that helps to keep your skin from, drying out. So think about if you don't wash your hair for a very long time, like a week or what have you, and your hair gets oily. Well, that is produced by these sebaceous glands. So they're not just in your scalp, but they're all over your skin, and again, they help to keep your skin supple and to keep it from drying out. Hair is another thing that is a characteristic of mammals. Only mammals have hair. 3 inner ear bones. So we're going to talk about that more in detail, but it seems like kind of a silly thing. But again, mammals are the only ones that have 3 bones inside their ear. Muscular diaphragm. And mammals are the only ones that have anucleated red blood cells. So what does that mean? It means that our red blood cells do not have a nucleus. So that's kind of unusual. Again, only mammals. Mammals also have very complex teeth. We have a single jawbone, a 4-chambered heart. Now, of course, we did talk about birds. Birds do have a 4-chambered heart also, but all mammals have a 4-chambered heart. And like birds, we are endothermic, meaning that we produce our own heat. All right, so of course hair, only mammals have hair. Here are some red blood cells under the microscope, and here's one really close up, and you can see it has this kind of donut shape to it, and that is because in the middle where the nucleus ought to be, there is no nucleus. These down here are a close-up under the microscope of some skin glands. These would be mammary glands, and again, these would be found in the breast tissue of human females, and they would produce milk. The diaphragm, as we already mentioned, is only found in mammals, and what this is it's a muscular thing that separates your heart and lungs from the rest of your guts, so to speak. So your stomach and your intestines and your small intestines and large intestines. And what this diaphragm does is it expands and it contracts, and this helps you to breathe. Of course, when you get the hiccups, it's your diaphragm that is having a little, spaz attack there. All right, so where did mammals come from? So just really quickly, we could spend a lot of time on this, but we're not. Where did mammals come from? Well, it's hard to say because, the fossil record is always spotty, and not everything fossilizes, but we do have lots of fossils of jaws and teeth and skulls, and so we know that mammals evolved from the synapsids, and the synapsids are these reptiles that have this sail thing on their backs. When you buy plastic dinosaurs, these are always included, although technically they're not dinosaurs. And then the therapsids evolved later on, and that's what you see here. Again, still a reptile, but more mammal-like. And then finally, we get early mammals until finally actual full-blown mammals. So mammals evolved from reptiles, and they did coexist with dinosaurs for about 140 million years. Now, of course, you know that the dinosaurs went extinct, so there was a mass extinction where the dinosaurs went extinct, and that is when mammals kind of blossomed. They kind of came into their own. At the end of the Cretaceous period, the dinosaurs went extinct, and this opened up all kinds of ecological niches for the mammals to evolve and to become what they are today. So at the time of the dinosaurs, all mammals were very small, almost like mouse-like or rat-like creatures. It was only later, after the dinosaurs went extinct, that they evolved into all the many forms that we see today. After the Cretaceous period, again, mammals exploded. So the Cenozoic period is known as or I should say, the Cenozoic um, era is known as the age of the mammals. And so you start off with these really rat-like or mouse-like, mammals, and they evolved into all the groups of mammals that we see today. I'm not going to go through all of them. Normally if we had time, we would go through each group, but we don't really have that kind of time. But just to point out some of the groups we have, the groups that the rabbits, belong to. We have the marsupials, which we're going to talk about. We have the monotremes, which we're going to talk about. The elephant-like mammals, the horse-like mammals, the whales, right? The bats. So all different kinds of mammals. All right. So mammals that live exclusively in the ocean and are great at swimming, to elephants, to bats which can fly. So all of these things evolved after the dinosaurs went extinct. So we mentioned the whole thing about the jaw and the inner ear. So let's talk about it a little bit more in detail. So reptiles, as we mentioned, have a single jawbone. But what happens is a lot of the bones that make up the jaw in mammals evolved into the inner ear bones. And so we saw in reptiles that they have one bone between the eardrum and the cochlea, or the inner ear, whereas humans have three: the stapes, the incus, and the malleus. These are often also known as the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. These are the three smallest bones in your entire body. So kind of seems like a weird thing, but it's a very mammal, characteristic to have these three bones inside your ear. All right, teeth. As we mentioned, teeth are very important to mammals. So when we look at fish and amphibians, and especially the reptiles, the teeth are basically all the same shape and size. But with mammals, we start to see this change. The teeth, differentiate into different things. So if you were to look at the teeth of a dog versus the teeth of a horse, they would look very, very different. There would be different types of teeth, and they would look very different because they eat different types of food. So this saber-toothed tiger down here is sort of an extreme example, but nevertheless it's a great example because it has these front teeth that which are very long and have evolved to kill massive prey by slashing through the spinal cord in their neck. So teeth, very important for mammals, tells you what they eat, right? And we find all different types of teeth, all different sizes and shapes in mammals. Not true in other groups of animals. So we already kind of talked about the inner ear, so we're going to just skip this. We should mention that, like birds, we are endothermic, right? Which means that we produce our own heat. But again, we have some things that birds don't have that help us to kind of maintain our body temperature. We have hair, of course, which helps to insulate us. We have sweat glands that help to cool us down. And mammals also have a subcutaneous layer of fat. So underneath your skin, there's a layer of fat. Again, this helps to keep you cool in the warm weather and warm in the cool weather. Now, the flip side, like the birds, because our metabolism is much higher and we produce our own heat, we have to eat a lot of food. So your typical mammal will eat 10 times as much food as a reptile. So think about our snake. Our snake in the classroom only eats once a week. When she's eating, she can go months and months without eating, no problem. And that's because she doesn't have to spend a lot of energy keeping her body temperature high, right? Her body temperature is whatever the room is. Of course, with mammals, we have carnivores that eat meat. We have herbivores that eat just plants, and the omnivores which eat both meat and plants. So we would obviously fall into that category. Mammals have stronger jaws and jaw muscles for capturing prey and then sort of tearing that prey apart. Not all mammals chew their food, but certainly that is something that we see in mammals basically for the first time. Most animals will swallow their food whole, but many mammals actually do chew their food. And so, again, these specialized teeth help them to grind up and to chew their food much better, and this enables them to process or digest their food more efficiently. Herbivores, like cows and horses, for example, they would have very flat teeth, which would help to crush and to grind up that tough plant food. Now, plants are particularly hard to break down, so many of these animals have multiple stomachs. So, for example, cows have 4 stomachs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these stomachs actually are necessary to break down the very tough food that they eat, things like grass and hay and things like that. And if you're an herbivore, like a cow or horse, you're going to have lots of symbiotic bacteria that live inside your gut that help you to break down that plant material. So what we see when we look at the digestive systems of animals that eat meat versus those that eat just plants, we see that the digestive systems of meat eaters is shorter, all right, whereas the plant eaters have a much longer digestive tract because, again, plants are harder to digest and to break down. And we also see that the cecum in meat eaters is very small, while the cecum in plant eaters is very big. So again, this is to help to ferment or encourage the growth of these bacteria that are going to be breaking down this really tough food. So as we mentioned, all mammals have this muscular, diaphragm that helps them to breathe. They have a 4-chambered heart with a 2-loop circulatory system, just like birds. We do have kidneys to filter out the urea from the blood, and of course to reabsorb water and electrolytes. And then that urea is, of course, mixed with some water, and it's excreted through the body or from the body as urine. Mammals really highly developed brains, a cerebrum that is larger and more well developed than in other animals, that allows mammals to think and to learn, very complex behavior. So many mammals are taught by their mothers to how to survive. So they do have some instinctual behaviors, but they also have to learn a lot of behaviors in order to survive. Most mammals have a great sense of smell. Humans are kind of the exception, to this rule. Good vision. Of course, primates, like ourselves, our vision is even exceptional. And great hearing, so they can hear a wide, variety of frequencies and sounds. So the double circulatory system, just to remind you, you have the 4-chambered heart. You have the deoxygenated blood going into the atrium, which then goes into the right ventricle, which is then pumped to the lungs, where it picks up oxygen. Then it's returned back to the atrium of the heart, but on the other side, on the left side, and then to the left ventricle, which then pumps that oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. So double circulatory system, double circulation. Diaphragm, right? So here's the diaphragm underneath the lungs. When it changes shape, that expands the lungs and causes you to take in a lot more air. This is just showing you kind of the frequencies that different animals can actually hear. So humans can hear usually between 20 and 20,000 hertz. Of course, if you look at this, elephants can hear sounds that are much lower than humans, which makes sense because they're larger. They make sounds that are lower in frequency. If you look at the mouse, for example, it can hear sounds that are way above human hearing, right? So mice, cats, dogs can all hear well above human hearing. Bats, whales, and dolphins, even more so. So you've all seen a dog whistle. Dogs can hear it. Humans can't. The brain, again, the this portion of the brain, right, is more well developed in mammals. Still, in many mammal brains, like cats and dogs, the olfactory lobe is still pretty big because the olfactory lobe is responsible for processing smells. In humans, it's actually quite small because smell is not that important for humans. Now, even though most mammals have really good vision, they will see differently than us. So on the right here is a simulation of what we think a cat sees. So cats are very good at seeing movement, not very good at seeing color. And you can see it's also a little bit fuzzy around the edges. Humans, great vision, great color vision, which not all animals have. In fact, many don't, or I should say many mammals. Chemical control. So just really quickly, the endocrine system is very complex, right? Many organs that produce hormones that help to control different processes in the body. So it is very well advanced in mammals, more so than any other animal. The immune system, same thing. The most advanced immune system on Earth. So lots of special cells and chemicals that are made by your body to destroy pathogens, right? Bacteria, viruses, and fungi that manage to get inside your body. So again, the most highly evolved, sophisticated immune system of all the animals. Mammals got it. Movement. So we do see in mammals that there's all kinds of different types of movement. So the flexibility and strength of the shoulder and the pelvic girdles have allowed mammals to evolve all kinds of modes of locomotion or getting around. So of course humans have bipedal, so we walk on our two legs. Of course kangaroos, they can hop around, right? Bats fly. Our nearest ancestors, the chimpanzees, although they're very closely related to us, they have a completely different mode of getting around, which is called knuckle walking. So they walk on their hind legs and their front limbs on their knuckles. Of course, they can walk, bipedally on their two legs like us for short, periods of time, but it's very awkward, and they more have a four-limbed sort of way of moving around. So again, with this explosion of evolution in mammals, we see all kinds of ways to move around. Many mammals can run at high speeds. Of course, primates can use their flexible shoulders and arms to brachiate or to swing through the trees. We have sloths that kind of hang more than anything, right? We have moles that can burrow through the earth and rarely ever come up to the surface of the earth. Many mammals that live in the oceans, of course, have flippers, which allow them to swim, and bats have evolved wings in order to fly. Hibernation or torpor. So many mammals will hibernate or go into torpor when the conditions are not good, because again, mammals need lots and lots of food in order to survive. If there's not a lot of food present, such as during the wintertime around here, they'll go into torpor. This is also true for many mammals that live in very hot parts of the world, where there's not a lot of food during the hot summer because everything is hot and dry. So what happens is they'll go into this state where their body temperature will fall, the heart rate will slow, the breathing gets really slow, and brain activity almost ceases, and they essentially live on their fat. So a great example around here would be squirrels. Squirrels sleep for weeks and weeks at a time during the winter, wake up every now and again to see what's up, and then, of course, if there's still snow on the ground and no food, they will simply go back to sleep or go back into the state of, torpor. Reproduction. All mammals reproduce through internal fertilization. Young mammals, of course, need lots and lots of care. So mammals tend to produce very few offspring, but tend to spend a lot of time and energy, raising them up. And of course, mammals have all kinds of complex, behaviors and social strategies to help raise their young. So look at, for example, wolves in a wolf pack, where just the alpha male and female will produce young, and all the wolf pack will help to raise those young. Elephants are legendary for being great mothers, and they live in groups, herds that consist only of females that are all, related, and again, only a few females will reproduce. All the other females will help to bring that young elephant to adulthood.